And I missed a spot. I just haven't seen any leaves fall since, November, December? So they didn't trim anything today. They just picked up debris from this green belt. So all of this stuff is obviously not worth cleaning. But we still have leaves, pine needles, but there's no dead leaves. Lots of leaves. I mean, that's a lot of work. I should have started the other way. Plant debris everywhere. So they spent the whole day Notice the sidewalk's clean though. Grass is dying, full of needles. I should have walked the other way, sorry, because my shadow is in the footage. Full of pine needles. So, I mean, this is clean. I mean, still pine cones and debris. I mean, it's filthy. It's filthy. It's hard to get into every little spot, but nothing is, again, there's so much debris that they cleaned out 5 bags, and this is still what we're dealing with. Like, they don't think this plant is dying because of all these needles, needs to be cleaned out. I noticed someone was really irritated and said, oh, cleaning the debris 12 times. But when you could say it 1,000 times, is 12 really enough? I mean, it's just that they spent the whole day here. There's a pine cone right in here. This is thorny, so gotta be careful, but I mean, freshly cleaned. I mean, it would be different if, you know, the ground was clean. It's like 2:15, 2:20. They pulled out of here at 2:10. It's just, this is hard to look at, you know. I don't know if you can see the detail on the video, but well, that's better. Even though, is it clean? No, it's not clean because they don't care to clean it. That's why everything's dead, you guys. This ground cover is just like, oh, this is nice. They were literally just here. They were just here. I mean, we can't even get the big stuff picked up. Pine needles are, like, everything brown is just pine needles. And it's killing the ground cover that was here. This is useful. I mean, they spent the whole day cleaning this. I am literally coming behind them within 10 minutes of pulling out the community. So this is yellowing and dying from the inside. And if we look why, it's because it's being choked with all this stuff. And then when it rains on all this stuff, it changes the pH, kills the plant. It's shocking that they've had over 2 weeks to clean stuff up, and this is where we're at. I mean, this is the back. Like, we paid for all this rock, but for what? It was just covered with debris, you know. So we only clean the ground. We don't clean any of the plants. We don't clean any of the mess that we've caused and allowed for how many years? It just breaks my heart. This used to be so pristine. Used to be so pristine, and I don't know. The bottom of this is just filled with debris. This is, I mean, come on. I'm also getting attacked by biting things, which is never used to have bugs in this community. There's probably 50 pine cones. Like, they clean the area, but they are not allowed to pick up pine cones? Like, I'm confused. So this looks pretty freshly mowed. I think they did this maybe the day we walked, the day before we walked. But that debris also get back up. All of these are completely full. I mean, these have probably never ever been cleaned out since Classic took over. This is dying because it's just chock full of debris and no one's trying to trim it or care for it or help it breathe. That's lovely. Oh, maybe they're coming back on Monday for the pine cones because they discreetly left all of them here. Oh, they didn't want to, I guess they didn't have room in their truck today for, come on, look at this. Look at this. All of this back here, I mean, we've seen it all before. Same thing, just a disaster. These are all filled with debris. Even just getting back here is crazy. Look at all this. I mean, does it look like they're attempting to get debris? Like, no, they're not. So, and they haven't, and they've had all year to clean up from last year. But they chose to sit around and blow everything back up, keep the sidewalks clean, and hope that nobody would notice, just as nobody cared or noticed for the last 4 years. This is behind a rock, so you can't see it from the road, so I'm sure this is acceptable too. Yeah, this has just mulch everywhere. So I guess the problem that I have is, like, we started paying them $2,400 a month to blow the streets clean. It's like we're literally just blowing the debris that blows out into the street back up into the landscaping over and over on repeat. Like, very little is ever getting taken out. And even as you can see, they had 6 bags today. They did this area, but there's nothing about this area that says I'm clean. But if all we're doing is paying them to not landscape, which we've been happy to do that apparently, and then we're going to pay extra to blow the streets, which is what they've been doing. Like, this is just crazy. I mean, in all honesty, I could do a better job than these 2 guys in a whole entire day. And that's saying a lot. I'm recovering from hip surgery. So, I mean, this is not a real effort, and I think we're just wasting time because this isn't even close to, I mean, they've had 2 weeks, and I'm going to make a map later and I'm going to show you what has actually been trimmed, because it's not much at all. There's trees and pine cones and, you know, pine needles all back there too. I'm sure they didn't go that far. I mean, it looks fine from far away, but as soon as you get close, there's just debris everywhere. I'm not going to worry about plants today. I'm just looking at the ground. Which, I mean, there's tree branches and pine needles and... I mean, at minimum, you could pick up the tree branches and the pine needles. They're big items. I mean, put them in a trash bag. I just can't. But, of course, when you drive in and you're like, oh, it's beautiful. But I don't know, to anybody watching this that used to live here 10 years ago, I know you're crying with me. So here, they actually did try to clean it better, but we can see what's actually left there because it hasn't been cleaned in forever. Old grass, old pine needles. This is why, like, a weekly maintenance stops all this craziness. So the good news is A few of these are cleaner. They're not completely clean. They're a lot cleaner. Even though all of the grass is kind of dying anyway. I know we're saying, oh, we're going to keep this, but it may not be alive to keep. These are better. Of course, I spoke too soon because it's just that one patch that really got attention. These are better, but you can still see, there's still debris. It may not be as much, but I mean, if they don't clean this, how is it ever going to get clean? These weeds are great. These little wispy ones everywhere. I don't know about you, I just don't see that many yellowing oleanders this time of year. This is also full of a bunch of rubbish. Bushes dying back here, also rubbish below. This isn't terrible, but it's freshly clean, which is simply a joke. Okay, obviously this hasn't been hedged. There's leaves all over, which again, there's nothing dropping leaves right now. Nothing. There are no brown leaves. Oh, wait, here they are. Okay. So did this all just happen today? I doubt it. I just doubt it. Dying grass. Brown and dead. That ground cover back there is just full of pine needles. This is a little bit better, but there's a lot of debris, and there's still pine needles. And we can see, I mean, this is rock, right? It's like, again, why did we put the rock? Oh, it was gonna make everything so beautiful. Okay. Those are filled with pine needles. It's just, again, how could this be freshly done? Like, my thought would be just completely clean an area before you move on. The grass is just filled with debris. So is the rock. So yeah, I guess when I say that they clean this area, they just move their bodies along this area. And they just clean the street and whatever you could see from the street. Because, yeah, they didn't clean the vast majority. See, this is interesting. It's like, oh, geez, why don't they want to trim it? Well, because up to 5 feet, there's not even anything to grow. There's not even any green. It's just the stalks. This is lovely. There are at least 20 pine needles in this tree. At least. 1, 2. Oh gosh. That's a whole branch over here. Okay. There's that. More. Some of these have probably been here. Oops. Like years. Oh, there I am. I'll come see you. I'll come see you in a minute. I'm just finishing. You know, this stuff could be cleared away. And that's just part of the maintenance. Obviously, this hasn't been trimmed. When I saw them out here, I was honestly just hoping this would actually get cleaned, but it's not. I mean, not in any type of serious way. Same throughout the whole entire thing. Still dead pine needles. You know, just for being freshly cleaned, it's just surprising how unclean it is. So here's where the big giant tree got removed today, which I really just don't get why. But maybe since you can see this area more and better, maybe they will take care of it better. Because this is what we did, which there's a lot of debris and rubbish from that too, just so you know. It's like fresh saw shavings everywhere, and probably about 1,000 pine needles. And this is rather dangerous, I'd say. Oh, how funny. Oh, so when we saw them, I'm gonna make a map of this, but when we saw them the other day and they were trimming the houses, it's literally like right when we passed them, they stopped, because these ones down here are not trimmed, which that's even like sweeter, right? Like unreal. Yeah, you could see. I mean, hold on. Can you see the hedges there? How not trimmed they are? But we just saw them trimming that street, right? I mean, we were all walking, but they just stopped because that was for show. Completely for show. Okay, there you have it. That's what happened Friday. And again, I saw them pulling out at 2:10. I'll send the picture.